Welcome to Ella Latika's Beginner's Guide to League of Legends Episode 2. If you missed Episode 1, you can find it annotated here. I'm assuming you've completed both tutorials as prompted, and after the battle training or the second tutorial, you were prompted to play a co-op versus AI game. If you hit play now and you've played out the game, I'm sure you're a bit confused. I'm going to go through a co-op versus AI game with you right now, and go over some of the league mechanics missed in the tutorials. To start playing a co-op versus AI game, all you need to do is hit the play button located up here. Hit co-op versus AI, Summoner's Rift, and we're going to go ahead and play this game on beginner. All you need to do is hit match me with teammates if you're playing alone, or I will invite my own teammates if you're learning with some friends. So I'm going to hit match me with teammates, and it takes approximately 5 minutes. Alright, so we have a Teemo, and I'm going to go ahead and just pick a random champion. I'm just going to go down here and hit random.
Indeed, a
Great.
wise choice.
So I was random Heimerdinger, who is a caster. Now, you might have seen these, and they were briefly covered in the tutorials. We have a runes page and a mastery page, and 2 masteries. Now, you don't have these masteries unlocked just yet if you're new to the game. So I'm going to go ahead and hit heal and ghost, which you should have access to both at level 1. Now, I'm going to show you a little bit about the mastery page. The mastery page currently has a damage section, a defense section, and a section based on regaining your mana and doing more utility-based things. So right now I'm going to go ahead and stick with the damage spec, which you won't have access to all these talents, but I recommend if you do play some sort of caster, go ahead and take 1 in ability power, which will be a spell increasing stat. And go ahead and take some here, which will give you some extra mana regeneration and reduce the time we spend dead, which I don't think we'll die in this game, but we'll go ahead and take some of that anyway. Now, the rune page is a bit more complicated, and I'll go over the runes in another video. But right now we're just going to go ahead and lock in, and we're going to go see what it's like to play in a co-op versus AI game. Welcome back. Let's begin playing League of Legends. Now, the first thing you're going to do at the beginning of every game is go ahead and click on the shop here, or you can also open the shop by clicking down here. And the default hotkey on your keyboard is hitting, if you want to open it up with a hotkey, is hit P. Now, we're going to go ahead and just buy boots and some health potions, which is a good starting item on the majority of champions. Now, boots, if you don't already know, they increase your movement speed, so your champion moves faster, which has a lot of utility either chasing champions down to finish them off or running away. Now, you can find health potions under consumables. Now, health potions will heal your character over time, and they're really handy to have in lane, because once you can use the health potions instead of recalling back to base, and it'll give you more time in lane so you can purchase extra items and get more gold. So we're going to go ahead and go to the bottom lane, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about some of the league mechanics right now. Typically you're going to have a caster which does magic damage and relies on the stat ability power, which I'll explain a little bit, and he's going to go in the middle lane. And then we have normally 2 champions go in the bottom lane, and at the very highest level of play, one of them is going to be an attack damage champion that's typically ranged, and some sort of character that complements him well. At the top lane, we usually have a bruiser champion. A bruiser champion has lots of HP and can deal a fair amount of damage, but is mainly used to soak up damage from the enemy team and kind of be a focus target while the rest of your team pummels the opponents. Now, no doubt if you've never played these champions, it's very hard to know what they do. That's just going to go ahead and go from time and to learn what every champion does. Now, the champion I'm playing right now has a really interesting mechanic because he's able to put down turrets. Turrets is this first skill right here, HG Evolution Turret. Now, we're going up against Ashbot and Luxbot. I can go ahead and put down the turret and it'll start shooting at my enemies. Now, if you're wondering how I put down the turret without clicking here, you see how they have hotkeys here that list which key you can press on your keyboard that'll spawn the turret quicker, or that will use a spell faster. So, since turret is on the Q hotkey, all I can do is press Q and then click the key, and it'll spawn that way as well. Now, no doubt in the tutorial you learned about last hitting a little bit. Last hitting is a really good strategy to use because when you're last hitting, you get extra gold. You normally get gold either by just playing the game out, and you gradually get income over time, about 1 gold every second. And you can go ahead and get items which will up that, or runes and masteries that'll up that as well. But for starting off, the only way you're going to get gold is either by last hitting or getting 1 every couple seconds. Now we're going to go ahead and get a kill here, maybe. Yeah. Now you see how much damage the tower does, so we had to use heal in order to keep ourselves alive. I don't recommend going ahead and tower diving, which is the action of attacking a champion underneath the turret, when you're still new to the game. It's much better just to play safe and let the champion get away. Now, see that we have taken damage. Now, normally we would have to recall in this scenario to go ahead and refill our health bar. But we're just going to go ahead and use some health potions so we can stay in the lane longer and get more experience. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put down a turret and have it start pummeling Ashe. There we go. The turret did enough damage to kill her. Now, in this scenario, we have so little health that it's probably in our best interest to go ahead and recall. Now, if you're wondering how my camera moves around like this and your camera is stuck on your champion, that's because I have the camera setting unlocked. And you can find this eyeball here, and if it's red, your camera will always be focused on your champion. Another way is to hit spacebar. If you're not focused on your champion, you don't know where your champion is. If you hit spacebar, it'll automatically go right back to your champion. So we're going to go ahead and buy upgraded boots. Now, for most casters, you're going to want to go ahead and get sorcerer's shoes, which take away 20 magic defense from your opponents. Now, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the stats of League of Legends. Now, you can see a quick rundown of your stats right next to your character portrait right here. Now, attack damage is typically for characters that use a lot of damage just from straight up attacking their opponents with right-click attacks, like you played in the tutorial for Ashe. She's an attack damage champion, because most of her damage comes from just attacking. Now, you also have casters, like I'm playing right now, Heimerdinger, who uses a stat called Ability Power. And Ability Power will upgrade the damage you do from all of your spells. So that includes my turret, my rockets, and then the grenade, which you haven't seen yet, but it looks something like that. And we're going to go ahead and pick up another kill on this luck spot here. Now, the next stat we are concerning ourselves with is attack speed. And attack speed just simply is a recharge time, as you can see here, for your auto attack. Now, that's going to be much, much higher for attack damage champions, because they need to attack faster to be more effective. The next stat, movement speed, can only be upgraded through items. It does not increase while you level up like attack damage, and neither does ability power, but you can have runes which will add ability power to your champion as you level up. We also have armor, which reduces the damage done from attack, this stat. Then we have Magic Resist, which reduces the damage you take from ability power moves, such as this one. The next stat we're going to concern ourselves is cooldown reduction. Cooldown reduction reduces the time it takes to recharge your spells. As you can see here, once I throw my grenade, it has a 12-second recharge time. Well, with cooldown reduction, it takes away some of that time, so you can use a spell more frequently. It's a really strong spell for casters and some attack damage champions as well. Now, there's some hidden stats which aren't displayed here, such as cooldown reduction. They can be seen by hitting your champion info, which is the skull located right here. You can see up here we have our hit points, which you also displayed here, which indicate how much HP we have, or health. We have our HP regen, which is also displayed here, which is on a per 5 second window. So we gain 23 health points every 5 seconds, which is useful if we're sitting under our turret and just trying to recharge when we don't really want to go back to base. Now, here's our attack damage, and we have armor penetration. Now, I already went over spell penetration a little bit with our Sorc shoes, but armor penetration is different. Armor penetration does the same thing as Sorcerer Shoes does, and the same thing as spell penetration, but instead it takes away this stat here, armor. Now, we also have Lifesteal, which is really a powerful ability for attack damage champions. So when they attack using basic attacks, they regain a portion of the damage done as life. Now, we also have critical strike chance, which is a stat which, since we have 0%, will never critical strike. But attack damage champions can use critical strike to deal bonus damage on hit, and that's normally equivalent to 200%. Although there is one item in runes that'll increase that percent earned. So the attack speed we already went over, and range is quite simply how far you can attack from. If you're out of range, you need to move closer to the enemy champion to attack him. Our mana is how much energy we have to cast spells. Now, not all champions use mana, and some champions use another resource, such as Tryndamere, who takes away from his health, or Mordekaiser, who takes away from his health to use spells. We have mana power regeneration per 5, and that's this spell right here, which I have full mana right now, but if I cast, you can see I earn 19 mana back every 5 seconds. And then spell penetration we went over a little bit. Now you can see there's kind of a bracket here where it shows two different types. The one on the left is 31, and that means you're just going to take away 31 magic resistance, which is the stat you can see here. So if I were to do damage to myself, I would take away all my magic resistance because it's more than I have. And then we have spell penetration. The 10% means we take away 10% of this. So 10% of 30 will be 3. So we take away 3 just from over here. Spell penetration will regenerate health based on how much damage you deal with your magical spells. Now cooldown reduction we went over, which will reduce the recharge time on your spells. Great. So now I have a lot of money, and I'm going to go ahead and recall back to my base. Now that I'm back in my base, since I have a lot of money, I'm going to want to spend some of that. So one of the main mechanic in League of Legends is purchasing items which will upgrade these stats over here. So you either could do more damage or take more damage or survive longer or have some more utility. Now, there are different, you can see here, defense, attack, magic, movement, and consumables. These are the categories that they've chosen to put all the items in. Now you have recommended items up here, but I'm going to go ahead and just go through these right here. So depending on what kind of champion you're playing and what stat they rely on, which you can which are either told from the champion info in the pvp.net, or you can kind of just customize your own build. So we're going to go ahead and click on defense, and then we have 4 different tabs here. We have health, which increases this stat right here, which allows us to take more damage from just every attack. We have magic resist, which reduces the damage done by magical abilities, and then we have health regeneration, which is the stat that increases the amount of health you get back every 5 seconds. Now, it's typically a good idea to invest in both armor and magic resist and some HP, no matter what champion you're playing. So we're going to go ahead and find some sort of item that improves Heimerdinger's damage and gives him some health at the same time. So here we have a whole list of items that give us health. I'm going to go ahead and take Haunting Guise. It gives us 25 ability power, which will increase the damage we do from all of our spells, gives us some health, and also gives us some more magic penetration, so we do more damage in case our opponents have some resistances. So we're going to go ahead and buy that. Now that we have some HP, so we can survive longer, we're gonna go ahead and find something that just straight up gives us more damage. So to find items that improve the caster's ability to do damage, we're gonna go ahead and click on magic. Now here's the cooldown reduction, which reduces the time on our casts. Mana, which improves this spell, which improves this stat here, which just gives us a bigger pool to cast with, and mana regeneration, which increases the rate that mana is earned. Now, we're going to go ahead and click on Ability Power, which is a stat which increases the damage we do. Now, there's one more stat that we haven't went over, Tenacity. And this item here gives us 50 Ability Power, which will increase the damage you do, and 35 Tenacity. Tenacity is a stat which reduces the effect of stuns and snares on your champion, as well as some fears and some other crowd control effects. Now, if you're confused as to what that means, when your champion loses control of itself and you can no longer cast, that means you've either been stunned, snared, or some sort of mobility effect has been placed on you. For example, on the enemy team, the enemy Lux can use a spell which snares you, which makes you able to cast spells, but you're unable to move just by right-clicking around the map. So you can purchase tenacity items, and they'll reduce the effects of the time it takes for you to be able to control your character again. So we're going to go ahead and push to the enemy's inhibitor, which you no doubt have seen when you play the tutorials. This is the inhibitor, and destroying the inhibitor not only spawns super minions, but it also increases the damage the entire time of your minions. It increases their health and damage. So this lane will always be favoring you. So as soon as we kill this, you'll see the next the next minions that spawn in this lane for us will have increased health. So we're gonna go ahead and take down the inhibitor. Now you see I'm very low on mana and HP, and popping a health potion in this stage of the game with 150 health over 10 seconds won't return that much, and I don't have much mana to cast spells from anymore as well. So I'm going to go ahead and recall and purchase more items and get my health and mana pool back. Now the hotkey for recall is B, so I recommend hitting B instead of clicking on the spell itself. It's much quicker. So we're going to go ahead and get some more more items that increase our damage. So here's our options in ability power. But we're going to go ahead and go with Neasly Large Rod, which is a very powerful item because it gives us 80 ability power, which is a vast amount of a damage increase. So you can see the enemy caster minion has 385 damage, has 385 HP, while ours has 430 and 55 damage, while theirs only has 39. So now this lane will always be pushing towards the opponents, which is really strong for us because the enemy team has to go ahead and spend most of their time in this lane to try to prevent it from dying. Great. So now at the game ender, we're going to go ahead and see our score screen, and which will give us an in-depth analysis as to how we performed in the game. Welcome back, and I hope you had fun in your first or your second game of Co-op vs. AI. Now here you have the score screen, which gives us an in-depth analysis as to what's going on. It might be a little bit overwhelming to look at first, but don't worry, it's pretty easy to navigate. Now the first thing we're going to go over is the overview tab. This is the map we played on, and this is the game mode we played on. Now we earned 33 influence points. Now influence points are used to purchase champions and runes. This normally will say how much experience we earned in the game and how close we are to leveling up our summoner. Here's the score, or this will be the score of how many times you've won a Co-op vs. AI game, and this is the amount of times you've lost a Co-op vs. AI game. This is the total amount of kills our team got, the total amount of deaths our team had, and this is the total amount of assists our team had. This is the total amount of kills our opposing team had, the amount of deaths they had, and the amount of assists they had. Now, our champion is going to be highlighted, and this is the stats we have. This will show our scores. So we have 3 kills, 0 deaths, and 8 assists. An assist is simply just by helping one of your teammates kill an enemy champion, but you didn't necessarily do the killing blow. This is the summoners we took with us, and this is the items we had towards the end of the game. This is the amount of gold we earned throughout the entire match. This is the amount of minions we slain, which, as you learned in the tutorial, this number, how many minions you slain, is the bonus gold you've earned for slaying the enemy minions. And here you can see the stats for the rest of your team. So let's go ahead and take a look at the grid. Now the grid will just will show us a whole bunch of stats for the game, and it'll just gives us some fun stats. So example, this is our damage dealt, and we did 40,480 damage throughout the entire game, and 9,756 of that was physical, and 30,724 was magical. Now, there also is some other stats here that you can worry about. This is the amount of turrets we destroyed, the amount of minions we slain, the amount of time we spend dead, and since we never die, we didn't spend any time dead. Now let's take a look at the graph. Here you can choose and pick different stats you want from the game and kind of compare it between your champions. And so let's go ahead and just choose damage taken. And this will show comparative results throughout the entire champion enemy board. So we took very, very little damage in compared to the rest of them. Now our Master Yi wasn't in the game, he disconnected, so he took 0 damage because he remained on the Summoner's platform. And same thing with Trundle. Trundle DC, but he was taken off the Summoner's platform towards the end of the game and was slain. So now we can do even more in depth and see how much physical damage we took. And the rest of that will be magic damage. So here we can just see the comparative results throughout the entire champions. Here you have the and over here you see the names of your teammates, and this is the enemy team. Now these options will be, if you play with somebody and you really like them and you want to play with them again, you can go ahead and add friend. Or you can, if you didn't like them and you don't want to talk to them anymore, you can ignore the user. And if they committed some acts against the Summoner's Code, you need to go ahead and hit report player. And then the UI here is pretty simple. You just choose what they did wrong, and send the report. Awesome. Stay tuned for part 3, where I'll be going over the PvP.NET runes and masteries. Have a great day.